It all started when I visited an antique shop in a small town, known for its eerie collection of forgotten relics. There, I found an old porcelain doll hidden in a dusty corner of the shop. The moment I laid my eyes on it, a cold chill ran down my spine, but something about the doll drew me in. I had to have it. As soon as I brought the doll home, strange things began happening. I would hear soft whispers in the middle of the night, the sound of footsteps in the hallway when I was alone, and my lights would flicker at odd times. At first, I tried to dismiss it as my imagination playing tricks on me. But then one evening, I saw the doll move. It was subtle at first, just a slight shift of its position. But as the days passed, the movements became more noticeable. It began to follow me around the house, appearing in rooms I hadn't placed it in, standing upright when it had been lying down just moments before. One night, the whispers became louder, the footsteps heavier. I felt a cold hand brush against my shoulder, and when I turned, the doll was gone. Panic set in as I searched the house, but it wasn't until I looked in the mirror that I saw its lifeless, glassy eyes staring back at me, sitting behind me on the couch. I tried to get rid of it, but every time I did, the doll would return, more lifelike than ever. It wanted something from me, something I was too afraid to give. The more I tried to escape, the closer it got. The doll didn't just haunt my home, it haunted my life. And now, every time I close my eyes, I feel it watching me, waiting. But what happens when it finally catches me? Watch this video to uncover the terrifying truth behind the haunted doll that followed me home. It had been days since I last saw the doll move on its own, but the unease never left. I could feel its presence lurking in every shadow. The whispering continued, and now it seemed to come from everywhere inside the walls, from the attic, even from beneath the floorboards. I couldn't escape it. I began to lose sleep, plagued by nightmares where the doll's eyes followed my every move. No matter where I went, I always felt its cold gaze on my back. One night, after I woke up to the sound of the doll's eerie laughter, I decided to confront it once and for all. I found it sitting on the kitchen counter, its porcelain face smiling in a twisted, almost mocking way. My heart raced as I approached, each step more hesitant than the last. That in that moment, I knew something had changed. The doll was no longer just an inanimate object. It had become something far more sinister. I grabbed it, intending to burn it in the backyard, but as I held it, the doll's eyes flickered with a dark glow, and it felt as if it was alive in my hands. The air grew colder, and I heard a low, guttural voice whispering my name. "You cannot escape." I dropped the doll, horrified, but as I looked up, the room around me had transformed. The walls were covered in strange symbols, and the once peaceful home now seemed like a dark, suffocating prison. I turned and saw an ominous figure standing in the doorway. It was tall, shadowy, its face obscured by a hood. The figure stepped forward, its presence sending a wave of dread through my body. "Who are you?" I managed to whisper, my voice. The figure didn't answer. Instead, it reached out with long, skeletal fingers, and the room seemed to close in around me. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to move, but my legs felt like they were glued to the floor. Then, in an instant, the doll was there again, perched on the counter, as if nothing had happened. But this time it wasn't smiling. Its face had twisted into a grotesque grimace, its eyes filled with malice and hunger. I tried to run, but it was too late. The figure reached for me, its cold touch wrapping around my arm. And before I knew it, everything went black. When I woke up, I was back in my room, and everything seemed normal. But the doll was gone. I thought I was free, but deep down, I knew better. The nightmares were worse than ever now, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the doll was still out there waiting for me to slip up, to let my guard down. And when I least expected it, I found it again, sitting on my bed, staring at me with its cold, lifeless eyes. It knew it had won. The doll wasn't just haunted. It was a doorway to something far more terrifying, something I had unwittingly invited into my life. The evil had taken root, and now there was no escaping it. As I stared at the doll, I realized the horrifying truth. It was never about me bringing it home. It was about it choosing me. And now, It was my turn to follow. Will you dare to face the cursed doll that has haunted me? Watch until the end, because you may never look at your own belongings the same way.